There comes a moment in life when the weight of betrayal forces you to confront painful truths and reassess every promise once made. I still remember the chill that crept over me as I began to suspect that the life I'd meticulously built with my partner was built on a foundation of secrets. In this detailed account, I share how my world was upturned, how I gathered evidence, confronted the painful reality, and eventually steered myself toward healing. My hope is that anyone grappling with relationship trust issues can draw strength from my journey, learn about self-worth, and embrace the importance of clear boundaries. This is not a story of revenge. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a guide for those who have felt betrayed yet want to reclaim control over their lives. It started innocuously. Little gestures, unexplained gaps in communication, an offhand comment that felt too rehearsed. I began to notice subtle changes. A fleeting look when my partner excused themselves to take calls, sudden secretive smiles while scrolling through messages on their phone, and strange inconsistencies in their stories about their day-to-day activities. At first, I tried to ignore the small knots of doubt that formed in my gut. I convinced myself that perhaps I was reading too much into these minor details. But as days turned into weeks, the pattern of discrepancies became too persistent to dismiss. My heart pounded with anxiety, and questions buzzed ceaselessly in my mind. Was I overreacting? Or was I simply too trusting? Late nights filled with restless thoughts eventually forced me to make sense of these subtle clues. I began retracing conversations, re-examining texts, and noting the odd moments that suddenly didn't add up. That pervasive feeling of being deceived grew louder with every unanswered question. The realization that something was gravely amiss set me on an uncharted course. I would need undeniable evidence to face the truth. A long road of self-doubt and courage lay ahead as I slowly shifted from being the trusting partner to a meticulous investigator in my own life. I started by keeping a detailed journal, documenting every suspicious moment, every quirky behavior, and every instance of contradicting information. At first, the act of writing was therapeutic, like piecing together a puzzle that had been scattered over months. With each passing day, I gathered small pieces of evidence, mysterious receipts left unexplained, late-night messages I wasn't meant to see, and even accidental glimpses of conversations that hinted at deeper secrets. Each discovery was a blow, yet I pressed on, not out of a desire for confirmation of betrayal, but out of an urgent need to reclaim my truth. This phase was both excruciating and liberating. I knew what I had to do. I would face my partner with the evidence, regardless of how much it might shatter the remnants of trust within our relationship. In the quiet moments when fear threatened to paralyze me, I reminded myself that my journey was about self-respect. Every word I documented, every piece of data I collected, strengthened my resolve to step into a future where I was no longer defined by someone else's lies. The day of reckoning was both inevitable and surreal. Armed with my carefully documented evidence and a heart heavy with truth, I sat down with my partner in our dimly lit living room. My voice trembled at first as I laid out the timeline of inconsistencies, the peculiar receipts, and the messages I had uncovered. I recalled every instance of dismissive excuses and unexplained absences, each now a brick in the wall between what I believed and what I was forced to accept. The confrontation was raw. I wasn't there to launch an attack or to accumulate a list of faults. I was there to unearth the reality of our shared life, however painful it might be. As tears welled in my eyes, I demanded answers not for the sake of feeding anger, but for the sake of reclaiming my identity. The silence that followed was heavy, punctuated only by the sound of my own heartbeat. Finally, words emerged, halting and fragmented, admitting to secrets and relationships that I had never imagined. In that moment, every accusation was answered by a confession, and every confession was a verdict on the bond we once shared. I felt both devastated and oddly liberated. Devastated because of the loss, liberated because I was finally free from the endless cycle of denial. This confrontation marked a turning point. It was the breaking of an old, ill-fitting mold, a necessary rupture that allowed me the opportunity to rebuild my life on solid, honest foundations. The days, weeks, and months that followed were a testament to both the fragility and strength of the human heart. In the aftermath of betrayal, I was plunged into a deep introspection. Who was I without the comforting illusion of trust? How could I heal the wounds inflicted by someone I had loved so dearly? Healing was not instantaneous. It was a painstaking process marked by moments of darkness and flashes of hope. I sought solace in quiet mornings spent alone with my thoughts, and I forged new paths of self-care. Therapy became a refuge where I could voice my raw emotions without judgment. I took long walks in nature, letting the steady rhythm of my footsteps remind me that every journey, no matter how painful, had the potential to lead to a brighter horizon. Through counseling, I learned that forgiveness was not about absolving someone else of guilt, but about freeing myself from the burden of pain and self-doubt. I surrounded myself with those who celebrated my resilience and listened without pretense. Slowly, I learned to trust again, first myself, then in the idea that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and clear boundaries. The healing process demanded that I confront my own shortcomings as well. I acknowledged the times I had been too passive, the moments I had compromised my standards for the sake of comfort. In reclaiming my power, I realized that loving myself meant setting boundaries that no one could easily transgress. It was a transformative journey that redefined my understanding of intimacy and trust. Every night, as I reflected on the day's progress, I renewed my commitment to self-worth. The inner dialogue gradually shifted from, "What did I do wrong?" to, "What can I do better for me?" Each small victory, a calm conversation with a compassionate friend, a journal entry filled with newfound insights, became a building block for a renewed sense of self and a healthier approach to relationships. In retrospect, enduring a betrayal was one of the hardest chapters of my life. Yet it is also a chapter that catalyzed immense personal growth. I learned that vulnerability does not equate to weakness, and that trusting one's intuition is a vital tool in preserving emotional health. Every tear and sleepless night played a part in teaching me the fragility of human connections when nourished by deceit, but also the supreme strength that lies within the capacity to rebuild. I evolved into someone who could look reflection in the mirror and see worth, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to honesty. This phase of my life was defined by introspection. I revisited old memories and reassessed the lessons hidden within them. I learned to celebrate my successes, however small, and to forgive myself for the times I had allowed fear to silence my inner voice. Over time, I came to appreciate that every painful experience, as devastating as it might have been, contributed to forging a stronger, wiser version of myself. Writing down my daily reflections became both a ritual and a declaration of personal sovereignty. Each word I committed to paper was proof that I was not defined by betrayal, but by my capacity to rise, rebuild, and embrace life with a clearer vision of what I deserved. In accepting the past, I welcomed the possibility of a future where my integrity and self-respect would never be compromised again. As I emerged from the darkness of betrayal, I stepped into a new chapter with cautious optimism. The process of moving forward involved redefining my understanding of relationships and trust. I began exploring interests that I had long neglected, invested time in new friendships, and rediscovered passions that invigorated my soul. Building a new normal wasn't about erasing the past. Rather, it was about integrating my experiences into a narrative of empowerment. I learned to set boundaries without apology, whether in personal relationships, at work, or in casual interactions. I realized that protecting my well-being was not an act of isolation, but one of self-love. This phase of my recovery was characterized by deliberate choices. I carefully curated the people I allowed into my inner circle, ensuring that every relationship was grounded in mutual respect and transparency. I also revisited old habits that no longer served me, replacing them with routines that were rooted in mindfulness and self-care. Every step forward was a reaffirmation that I was in charge of my destiny. I reclaimed my power by making choices that nurtured my emotional well-being, choosing to engage in meaningful conversations, dedicating time to creative pursuits, and embracing moments of solitude as opportunities to recharge. I built a life where trust was earned deliberately and boundaries were a non-negotiable part of every interaction. Through this transformation, I came to understand that true healing comes from honoring all parts of the journey, the pain, the doubt, and ultimately, the triumph. I embraced my scars as symbols of survival and resilience, each one marking a unique step in my journey toward a life defined by authenticity and self-respect. My experience left me with invaluable lessons, not only about the nature of betrayal, but also about the importance of self-worth and healthy boundaries. Below are some concrete steps that helped me and may help you protect yourself and cultivate healthier relationships. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, honor that feeling. Your intuition is not merely anxiety, it is a compass pointing you toward your truth. Keep a journal. Recording your feelings and observations can provide clarity when you are overwhelmed with doubt. Define what is acceptable and what is not. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect for your values and personal space. Whether it's a trusted friend, a professional therapist, or a support group, do not hesitate to ask for help when dealing with betrayal. Sharing your story can be a potent step in reclaiming your power. Invest in activities that nurture your mind, body, and soul. From meditation and exercise to creative hobbies, self-care is the foundation of healing. Remember that trusting others does not make you weak. Allow yourself compassion and recognize that the journey to healing is not linear. Your mistakes do not define your worth. Enter into relationships with clear expectations. Communication about boundaries and values from the start can prevent misunderstandings. By incorporating these steps into your life, you affirm that your emotional well-being is non-negotiable. True empowerment comes when you put yourself first, even if it means challenging long-held beliefs about loyalty and love. My journey from suspicion to painful discovery, from confrontation to healing, was one of profound transformation. I learned that betrayal, as devastating as it may be, need not define the course of your life. Instead, it can be the catalyst for reinventing your boundaries, your self-worth, and ultimately your destiny. Today, I stand as a testament to the possibility of renewal. I have learned that taking back control of my life starts with acknowledging the truth, embracing the pain, and then slowly nurturing the seeds of self-love and integrity. If you find yourself in a similar situation, remember that while the path to healing may be steep, every step forward is a victory in reclaiming your power. May this account inspire you to trust your intuition, honor your feelings, and establish boundaries that protect the essence of who you are. Your journey toward healing and empowerment begins with a single, brave step. Embrace it.